PathMonkey is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. PathMonkey qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding PathMonk to the website in seconds, letting the AI do all the work and increase conversions while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. All right, everybody, welcome to today's episode of PathMonk Presents. Today, we are joined by a special guest. We have Lauren Alexander. She's the CMO of Qualia. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Of course. We're happy to have you. So let's start with the basics for a second. This is something we ask everyone, but what's the big idea behind Qualia Life Sciences? And if you were explaining it to a friend over coffee, let's say, how would you describe what you do exactly?
Yes, Qualia Life Sciences is the full name of the company. We've been around since 2015. We launched our flagship product, Qualia Mind, then, and it literally was unlike anything that was on the market. It was a brain supplement and is continued to be perceived today as the gold standard of brain supplementation. And the science team and advisory team that's surrounding the company's formation just took such a novel approach to thinking about supplementation, really looking at synergies within ingredients and synergies within the body, using a type of science called complex system science. And so I kind of lead with all that, but like the mission and the goal is really to improve quality of life and to make things that are super effective to help people think faster, feel better, and live longer with greater meaning and purpose. You know, the word qualia is a philosophical term. It actually is like the subjective experience of being you. And it's very deep if you sit and like let that sink in a bit. The reason we're named that is we want to help you experience your fullest subjective experience of you and not override or change any aspects, just highlight and let you flourish. And we really invest heavily in the quality of ingredients that we put in all of our supplements. We really invest heavily in the research and science team. We have an extremely large and quite like impressive team of scientists behind our formulas. And those two things combined really create such unique formulas and unique offers to the world for people looking to improve their health.
That's amazing. I love the focus on, think of improving the thinking, right? Because I'm sure many of the people that listen here are knowledge workers at the end of the day. So they're definitely benefiting from whatever they can use to improve the way they think, the way they focus, and all of those things. So just a quick one. Is it fine to call Qualia products neurotropics, or is it a term
Yeah,
that,
so the
is kind of...
definition of a nootropic has to do with the cognitive brain effects, and Qualia creates products in longevity, sleep, all kind gut health. And so calling Qualia a nootropics company is a little too precise. Our Qualia Mind supplements are nootropics. And so that would be how I would classify it.
Got it. Okay. So it's more than that, right? Thanks for clarifying. So, and my question really, as a segue was, what types of customers are the best fit for your products, do you think? And what kind of key problem does Qualia solve for them?
We serve customers who are deeply invested in mental performance, in improving their cellular, their health on a cellular level. So that attracts a lot of biohackers, executives, health practitioners, doctors, athletes, people who understand how important quality and science are in their formulas. We are higher priced because we're higher quality. And so because of that, there is a certain kind of customer that naturally, once you become educated at a level, you understand that you need to spend at a certain level in order to get the quality that you want.
Okay, makes sense. So let's get a little bit more technical because obviously at the end of the day, I would love to talk about Qualia and its products, but we would love to talk marketing here on
Yeah.
Pathmark Presents, right? So could you share your most effective customer acquisition channels at the moment and maybe give us a glimpse into how over time even have you optimized them to drive consistent sales?
Yeah. At Qualia, our main acquisition channel remains to this day Meta advertising. And I think that has a lot of byproduct of my background. Like as a marketer, I've made my meal on Facebook Meta advertising since like 2009. And I bring that expertise of customer acquisition to this company. And so it is a big spoke in the hub of acquisition and remains that. I mean, every year I make this like resolution to I'm going to diversify meaningfully off of Meta. I really do, because it is a roller coaster of keeping up the competition, the changes they make. They just, recently made a lot of changes in the algorithm. A lot of people are crying about the changes. And yet it continues to really deliver high quality customers that I keep kind of coming back and going deeper and larger and scaling that traffic source. I will say that this company, we do a lot of education, and because of the nature of our products and the nature of our company. And so other channels like podcast interviews, podcast advertising, long form education with partners on similar publications like websites, et cetera, are very good means of acquisition as well.
Okay. Well, what you said about Meta and having this resolution every time to kind of, diversify your portfolio as such, makes me think, that's the proverbial if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I think, there's no need necessarily, but it's good to diversify, of course. But if it's working really well, why change at the end of the day? But it's interesting, knowing Meta, it's your main acquisition channel. What about the website? How much of a role does your website play in your overall e-commerce strategy? And if you could speak to maybe the strength of the website as you see it right now, and maybe do you see room for improvement for it? Could you share that with us?
Yeah, I mean, the website is the core of our acquisition strategy. It's an education hub. It's, a transactional bedrock. Our model is built around offering a subscription to our products, because our products you need to take every month. And so having and hosting that on our website is absolutely critical. We publish a lot of education articles. So again, it's like a hub of where people learn to trust us and then ultimately make a purchase. Our
Okay.
weaknesses, there's a challenge that I am, because we had a lot of unique needs, we chose to not have a Shopify or plug-in experience. And we are on a custom integration. And I think that was ultimately the right choice for our business. But I constantly have a little bit of FOMO going on, because I do see the enhancements and plug in and like cool features that are very easy to implement in a Shopify environment that aren't as easy in a custom stack.
I see. I see a point. And it's easy to fall prey of FOMO when it comes to that, right? Maybe we can touch on that for a second. So you can draw from your experience at Qualia or your experience in general, but what are the key elements that you would I guess implement for making the website even better and making it, a really high converting e-commerce website. And to that point, if you have any tools or tactics or even tricks that you can share with us, that would be great because I'm sure many people would love to learn from you and the work you're doing.
If there's any tricks, our company and our product really center around education. And the more education that we do, and the more ruthless I don't allow us to get distracted by non-educational distractions, seems to be what our customers really want and what they really ask for. And so there is constantly this tension from creating branding heavy videos that are not performance oriented, but are gorgeous, right? There's a number of examples in the space that have these just almost artwork websites, but are very performance oriented when it comes to a mobile or user experience, or you're downloading enormous PDFs to read more or things like that. And so I think as a value, I constantly am putting myself through the experience and thinking about how do I make this lightweight and educate and deliver unique education when I can.
Okay. Education is essential, obviously, and at Pathmonk well, the tool itself works based on the buying journey, right? So I guess that will fall kind of in the awareness stage of things, but it's always helpful, right? You always want to educate your users and in a way influencing them towards something that they need at that point, but they may not know yet, right? So that's a good one for sure. Are there any when it comes to education, and then I'm sure you talk about your products a lot in the website. Are there any new products, anything you're excited about that, you talk to maybe to your friends even and you're excited?
Yeah, we have recently had some really great launches. We launched a really high quality magnesium product late last year, and it had launched, and literally we've been struggling to keep enough inventory. We keep ordering more, going on back stock, going on more, getting back stock, and it's been really rewarding, as that was a product that I personally have been taking magnesium for years, but not really satisfied with the quality. And when I shared this with the team, they did research and were like, we can't innovate here, even though it is a saturated space. There's a lot of magnesium products to choose from, but there isn't one that combines all these forms with minerals and has the quality that is the Qualia standards. And so we launched it, and person, like I work there, I can get, some magnesium as an employee benefit, but also to see that the world really wants it as well, and that it's been a great seller. So I think that that's been really rewarding. We have a number of exciting launches this year that I'm working on that aren't live yet, such as a stem cell supplement that will complement our senolytic formula that we launched now 3 years ago, that has been a huge hit in the space.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Speaking to the magnesium side of things, I've been trying to really improve my sleep lately, and I know it's one of the staples, right? Besides, obviously, I have two kids under four, one on the way, so there are different bigger blocks I need to worry about, but magnesium is one of those. So it's great to know, kind of, I'm definitely personally going to dive deeper a little bit into Qualia's magnesium, and hopefully it's in stock, right?
Yes.
So, okay, very good. So, Lauren, let's talk about you as a leader for a second. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about you. What do you do on a daily basis? What's a day in the life like as a CMO, Qualia, and what are the main things you focus on?
Yeah, I always laugh because, like, when I think about my role and how big it is, and I have so much empathy with marketers these days, no matter where you're at in your head of marketing journey, the customer acquisition gig is so vast. I'm in charge of content, branding, I'm in charge of partnerships, paid acquisition, email, SMS. I contribute to product development, the label, the color, so much. And it's such a cool gig when you think about it. But then at the same time, it's like completely endless and vast. So learning how to prioritize and optimize my time has been the biggest theme of my career. And it's been really awesome that I got connected with the neuroscientists at this company, because there's so much about the brain that, once you understand, becomes super useful at being a productive leader and being able to not get caught in time warps, because time is just so precious. There's just, and it really doesn't matter, I think about this all the time, is that even if you're a campaign manager and you have sole responsibility of just managing meta campaigns, that in and of itself is massive, because there's pushing new ads, there's, cloning, there's making sure your links work. It's just so much, just even in the most specific of lanes. And so, yeah, I would say time optimization. So then, okay, like let's zoom out. So I named like a lot of things, but really strategic planning, performance analysis, and creative direction are like three big buckets. And people, I have the luxury of having a small team, and the people management aspect of that is actually really important, but also a lot of times gets left off in terms of talking about my deliverables as CMO.
Right. But it does sound like you're very operational, right? You're hands-on as a CMO. It's not just about leadership side of things, but also, you get your hands dirty, so to speak, right?
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's really good. And to your point about time, um, I don't think people realize, and I'm sure, speaking to the neuroscientists in your team, I don't think people realize how much like distractions actually play a role in, feeling overwhelmed at the end of the day, just unfocused, feeling like so tired. So I'm sure you got, maybe they shared a couple of good tricks to make sure you stay on track, you stay focused, and you're able to churn, let's say, as much work as possible, or at least quality work, right? If it's not
Yeah.
the volume of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a couple things to know about the brain. And I think once you understand like a couple aspects of the brain, then you can understand, like you can make what works for you. And so, principle one is that like thinking takes a lot of energy. So anytime you're thinking, you're like using up your resources. I talk about this all the time about how you wake up and you have this like bank account of mental bandwidth. And every time you make a thought or you read something or you stop and you're like making withdrawals. And depending on how you slept the night before and how you eat and how healthy you are, you start out with X amount of dollars. And so sometimes if you sleep really well, you have more at your start. And then some, if you don't, you have less. But it's all about managing that budget throughout the day. And, you can save. So being efficient, habits, being disciplined, these are ways to conserve energy. Body loves habits, the brain loves habits, and they use less energy than bespoke, doing stuff from scratch. So the more you can habitualize and automate aspects, less calories you're going to burn, less transactions you're going to make with your mental energy. There's a lot we could talk about on energy conservation beyond that, but let's just leave it at that. Habitualize what you can. You're going to save bandwidth. Another way to balance your budget is to, make more money, right? So how do you make more brain energy? One way is to take breaks or naps or walks, things like that. This is free, but actually resting in between your day builds your bank account back up. Super hard. I have tried for almost 10 years to take a nap for 20 minutes in the afternoon, and I have done it once. And so it just doesn't work. Even if you at least for me, even if I calendar it, whatever, it just doesn't work. But walks do work for me. And I do feel rejuvenated from a walk. And there's something about just letting your mind kind of do its thing and then bring it back. It's like a meditation for me. But another way to build it up is nootropics. They are actually studied to build up that capacity. The thinking takes a lot of energy. So how do you reinfuse that through, eating energy sources for the brain? So without, really diving much more deeper into that, those are my two kind of pieces of advice on, thinking about the brain and how to optimize what you do.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. It's something to think about, right? Habits, remove friction. This is what I'm hearing, right? Remove friction, make it lubricate as much as possible, automate, and obviously, you have nootropics if you wanted to. You have some supplements. You have something you can take alongside your nutrition that can help you with that, right? And you may know a company that's specialized in that, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so, Lauren, I want to thank you obviously for being on the show with us today. As we wrap up, I want to launch into our rapid fire segment, if you don't mind. So it's just a couple of questions to keep things light and engaging. And the only spoken rule we have is that for a concise question, we expect a concise answer. You ready for that?
All right.
All right, let's do it. Do you prefer watching or reading?
Reading.
Okay. What's the latest book you picked up, and were there any gems or ideas that really stuck with you?
I read parenting books. I have two small children, so a little bit off topic. The most recent is The Yes Brain by Dan Siegel. And it
Okay.
actually does kind of fit in. It's just being positive versus negative and you're interacting with your kids. It's kind of how I would summarize it.
No, I like it. Personally, I think I'm gonna take a minute offline to talk to you about it because I'm definitely interested. Very good. So, if you had a magic wand, Lauren, and you could fix one frustrating thing in your marketing life with tech, what would it be?
Oh my goodness.
Just one.
I don't know how to articulate this concisely, but it's seeing things that we can't see and like detecting problems that exist that without such a manual detective work that goes on.
Okay. If you could automate or let's say put on autopilot a repetitive task that you do every day, what task would you choose?
Yeah, I thought a great deal about this one that you asked. You said this to me ahead of time. I'm very conflicted because I've done a lot of optimization on this front already. And one aspect of my role, I spend a lot of time that I don't think I can ever automate is the people management aspect of it. And, you get good at being creative and at business and decent at managing people, you'll start rising up into your role. And um, but this relationship aspect does take so much time. And as a practical acquisition forward person, I always kind of look at this. I'm like, man, I just spend so much time on what doesn't seem like work, but it actually is really important part of the work. But I don't know how you could automate that. But that would be great if we could speed some of that up.
No, I agree. I agree. And people have too many variables, right? So it's kind of hard to automate in that sense. But okay, last one. So if you could go back and give your past self a quick pep talk at the start of your journey, what advice would you drop?
This has a lot to do with the brain stuff I brought up earlier, because in my early part of my careers, I would be struggling and it would be just natural struggle of taking on too much work or not sleeping enough or not fueling myself properly. And I internalized that as weakness of me as a person instead of just a limitation of biology. And as I've become more mature and understand that the body needs fuel, the body needs rest in order to perform at its peak, I think I would have saved myself a lot of personal pain. And so my advice is that if you're truly struggling, like you want to cry at the end of your day, the aspects like that, like you're just feeling like really overwhelmed in a way that is emotional, I would ask to go look at your biology, go look at, are you eating? Are you sleeping? Are you exercising? Get some labs done. Look at like basic, markers, because a lot of that is a chemical thing, not a personal, like, oh, you just can't cut it. And I think that it's really hard to understand how they don't, how where one line ends and where the other line begins, but how easy life gets, how really big problems aren't big problems when you sleep good, when you eat good, when you're balanced, in your biology. And so that's would be my advice, is that if you're truly struggling, or to my young self, I'm saying this, if you're really, go take care of your body, and all the other work stuff gets easier.
Physiology drives psychology, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
Well
that's a
said.
big
You
one.
did it. Sorry, I used too much airspace for such a
No, no,
simple.
no, not at all. No, no, you elaborated. That was great. This is just what I'm hearing, right? I guess it's my brain synthesizing. But Lauren, I want to thank you again for being with us on the show today. And if anyone wants to, I really appreciate the lessons about the brain, marketing, life in general. So if anyone wants to check out Qualia Life Sciences, where can they go? And do you have any sales or promotions at the moment going on?
Yeah, great. We have a really great content on our Instagram channel. So check us out at Qualia Life on Instagram. Our website is qualialife.com. I made a coupon for our listeners, and it is
Oh,
Path.
wow.
It's a Path Monk, and that will give you an additional 15% off on top of any sale, on top of any discount. So it's a really great chance to try something out if anything looks good.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. We'll make sure to share that in the show notes and on the post when we post on LinkedIn and social media. So make sure everyone gets takes advantage of this. Thank you so much again, Laura. And yeah, I wish you a wonderful day. Hope to see you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.